How are you?
I'm tired, but I am really excited to be here. I love Toronto.
This is your second TIFF premiere in Toronto, right?
Second TIFF premiere, and I filmed 2 seasons of a TBS show here.
What one?
People of Earth. I literally lived around the street.
Did you like it here?
Loved it. I love Toronto. To me, it's almost like a European Chicago, or Chicago with a more elevated European flair. I love it. The commitment that you have to sports.
Yeah.
The great, robust food. I love it.
Someone once described it to me as New York without all the stuff.
Chicago.
Yeah.
but it's to me, it has a better finesse.
Yeah.
To it.
Congrats on the film. I really loved watching it.
Thank you.
What parts of it resonated with you personally?
I think the empowering others. I think I'm a Gemini, so people come to me a lot for like advice. I guess, right? All the people that are in me. So we're like great problem solve. Weird. That's crazy. I just said weird because of all the people.
Yeah, right.
But like, no, really, like in my groups of friends, people come to me for advice. So there's that thing that comes naturally, I think. So, and I think it was also the tone of this show. The younger actors, I really applaud them, the level of discipline that they had and the real hunger. I've never seen that. Like, I've worked with people before that were younger than me. You know what I mean? I think just due to their generation and everything, they're like, cool, yeah, got it. Right. Which is cool, fine, whatever. But these kids really wanted to know, so it kind of was like art imitating life a bit, in particular with Jamila, because the lead actress, she really was soaking it all up. So I think the biggest, most obvious connect was pouring into her.
Can you do me a favor? I want to set this up for people. Can you describe a little bit of your character's relationship with Bree?
Yeah, sure. So my character's name is Pooh, Aunt Pooh. She is the lead's Bree's aunt, and her mother and I are sisters. Played by Sanaa Lathan, and
Bree wants to be the greatest.
To me, yeah. when I read the script, I was like, oh, this is almost like a female 8 Mile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the sense of your situation is your situation. You want to rise above it and not be a statistic or, you know what I mean, be encumbered by your environment and your situation. She has a gift. It's in an interesting way. My character has very masculine energy, and so we were realizing it was like, oh, in an interesting way, between her mother and her aunt, we are mom and dad, as it were. Father has passed, and so we're there to support her, and I start off being basically her manager because her father was a rapper.
Yeah.
He passed away. And watching him and observing him, I know the ropes, so to speak.
And you also have dreams of your own. Your character has dreams of her own, right?
Yes. So basically, I'm a hustler. I know how to finagle and make the most of my situation. However, I don't want that for her. And she actually has a talent, and a strong talent. So the biggest battle I think that my character finds with her is don't do as I do as I say. And I think that's a battle that they have. But it's the life that I lived. And in a way, I am still providing and helping out myself, our family, but then she is seduced by another manager played by Cliff, a.k.a. Method Man.
Yeah.
Who's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, is he ever?
He's amazing.
Yeah. He's incredible in this.
Yes.
So what was the selling point for you to get involved in this? Because I heard the story that you were on like the set of Only Murders in the Building.
No, I was. So Netflix is doing a biopic on Bayard Rustin. I don't know if you know who that guy is, but he basically was the vision behind Martin Luther King, but because he was a black gay male, due to the times, unfortunately, he didn't get the credit just due.
Yeah.
Huge part of the civil rights movement, yet, was the underdog. So I was filming that. George C. Wolfe, the brilliant Coleman Domingo, played. I love Coleman Domingo. It's playing this, so Mahalia Jackson is on my list of what we were talking about prior of like who to play.
Oh yeah, you and I are having a conversation before we turned the microphones on about like the
Yes.
decisions you have to make about the roles you're taking,
Yes.
and you want to play Mahalia Jackson.
That I was like that because I was like, how do you choose which one? So she's like one of the like 5 women that are on my list.
Okay.
George C. Wolfe hits me up and is like, hey, we're doing Bayard Rustin biopic. We're recreating the famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Mahalia Jackson was there, was BFFs with Bayard Rustin. We want you to play Bayard Rustin. I was like, it was almost like somebody was like, read my journal. Like, I'd have never told anybody that, like,
Right.
publicly. And I was like, what? Amazing.
Yeah.
Filming, if you know who Mahalia Jackson is, very religious, very Southern. Get a call. I'm sitting in the full Sunday best. And they're like, hey, yeah, so we want you to know that there's an offer for you to play a hustling drug dealer who is on the wrong side of the track, heart of gold, dresses like a man. And what do you think? And I was like buzzing just because I was like opposites. Yes, because the people that I look up to are transformational. And when I went to school,
Who were they?
Meryl Streep can go from literally playing a witch in the woods. Do you know what I mean? To death becomes her. Do you know what I mean? It's the range.
So you wanted to you saw the range in playing
That
Mahalia
always
Jackson,
excites me.
and then also playing.
This is the thing.
movies.
I think there's 2 different types of actors. We were talking about this yesterday. There's no judgment in what I'm about to say, but I think there's 2 types of actors, especially successful. 2 types of successful actors. There are what I call the personalities, meaning if I said, and I mean nothing of disrespect, but if I said, oh, we're going to go to a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, you know what it is. We don't need to know what the plot is. We know what we're getting. Meaning that personality or that brand has been crafted in such a way that they know what it is. For me personally, I don't want that. I want it to be, oh, Dave and Joy Randolph is in the movie. I wonder what we're going to
What
see.
she's gonna do this time.
I want to keep people on their toes. Because then it's more interesting to me, too, to do.
Yeah. I got to speak to Angie Thomas, who wrote On the Come Up a couple of times now for the show. And she talked to me a little bit about wanting to be an MC when she was a kid. And you're coming from this place, you're coming from Philadelphia with one of the greatest hip-hop histories in the history of the genre. What was your relationship to the music when you were growing up? Did you want to be an MC yourself? Can you relate to Angie on that?
No, I didn't want to necessarily be an MC, but music was everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
Nonstop. I remember as a kid, I used to think something was wrong if there wasn't music, right? Like, if there was an absence of music in the house, something happened. Literally, do you know what I mean? We have to tell you something, or turn the music down. So listen, right? So music was everywhere, and in my neighborhood, ironically, almost every block or every other block, ironically, the ends of the blocks on the corner, top of the corner, in the corner of the block, somebody had an in-home recording studio. It was a thing. When growing up, it was a thing. So it was like recording in somebody's makeshift home studio. There was constant content and creativity.
Were you recording in those studios?
Absolutely.
What were you singing?
Whatever, covers, whatever. And so for a long time, I thought like, oh, this is what I was more in that R&B realm of things coming up. So I thought music was going to be the course.
And opera ended up being the course for a little while.
Opera was I am where I am today because I'm very competitive and dares.
How did opera enter into your life?
A girl came to our school from Canada.
Hello.
And she was like, I went to Interlochen Performing School of the Arts. And I was like, it literally wasn't even talking to me. We were in choir. I will never forget this. I heard it, and I was like, what the hell is Interlochen? I don't care. I'm going. I apply. It's a full classical, well, classic and jazz, but you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
still like a classically based school. I had never sang opera in my life. Strictly like R&B, whatever. and I had to do like a little audition tape. I got in. I went to like a Christmas concert, and it was an all black classical group, and I was blown away. And there was one woman in particular, and when the concert was over, I was like, "Can you please be my voice teacher?" And she was like, "Sure, no problem." And so I was taking voice lessons with her, but she was sneaking in classical.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I get into this program, I go to Interlochen, I get the lead in the operetta,
Wow.
and I'm like, okay, I guess this is what we're going to do.
But isn't that kind of the story the whole way up? Like you get into Interlochen and then you end up becoming the lead in the opera after getting in. People you don't have the same experience as everybody else, but you end up getting in.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just talk a little bit about your acting career. You audition to be an understudy in Ghost the Musical.
Yeah.
You end up being nominated for a Tony.
Sick. I was sick.
I thought you were telling me, isn't that sick?
Oh, no, I was sick. We did it. Yeah, so I was happy babysitting in New York, being a nanny.
Yeah.
My team was like, it's conflicting with the schedule. You can do this understudy thing where you can have the rest of your day free, and that's almost like your side hustle. I was like, okay, cool. Book it. The lady who was doing it in London on the West End gets sick. They fly me over before we do the thing. So technically my first job is on the West End, which is insane. Got sick in London, flew back to the States, and I was sick it was like a cold that never stopped.
I'm so excited you're telling me the story because I feel like you're going to have an answer for the question I wanted to ask you about it, which I didn't know if you did. So that's an amazing story. She's sick. You go over there. Your first job is on the West End. Again, this is just another one of the stories you're telling me here, right? And you end up being nominated for a Tony for that role. I first came across you in Dolomite Is My Name opposite Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy is his first big role back. I mean, everyone's talking about it. You're kind of the breakout star. You're getting written up in a lot of different places. It's kind of one of the big breakouts things that people are noticing about that. Let's talk about Only Murders in the Building. That show has...
I got that job because of Dolomite.
Oh, really?
That's what Steve Martin told me. Steve Martin said, I loved what you did in Dolomite. Because they had worked together before, He was like, and I love to see your interaction with him and how you held your own. And because of me watching Dolomite, I said, let's put her in Only Murders.
You have Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez, three very famous people in that show. But everyone's talking about you. You become a kind of the breakout star of that.
And I appreciate it, but I think that also had a lot to do with the showrunner. He really did a great job of crafting something quite lovely. And I just really love John Hoffman. He's really wonderful.
But what's going on here? And that every story you've told me so far kind of sounds the same. They kind of rhyme to me. That you're set up with people are underestimating you a little bit, and then you shine beyond it. Like you are come into a hard situation. Not only do you excel, you succeed.
I think it's all doable. It just depends on how much you want it. Do you know what I mean? And where you're going to focus your energy in the peak of chaos.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, I think what's for you is for you. It's just like, it's difficult, or it's more... Like, for me, I'm always like, well, could I have just gotten there? Did it have to be this? I had to audition twice for Dolomite.
That was my question. I think breakout star, while being cool, it's great to be called a breakout star. If you get called a breakout star enough, which you are a lot, I think it means that people are underestimating you.
This is actually really interesting. I had a talk with my publicist because I forget at what point it was, but I think it was like the 6th time or something. Someone had called me a breakout, and I remember I was like, "Am I doing something wrong? Like, how do you break out every time?" And she literally was like, "You're just standing out in every project you're doing." So they're using this catchphrase, breakout. And they might keep saying it until or if I were to then, I don't read reviews, for example, but I think she said with this, some journalists had said I don't know how with the consistency of her work, she's not considered at this point an A-list actor, whatever that means, right? Those are all labels, titles, whatever. to me, I think it's their way of just being like, you did it again. Check, you did a good job. Check, you stood out. But they're using this phrase, breakout. And I think it's in a sense of, I try to look at it like, okay, I'm being consistent. Because I'm kind of like, let's break the boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, let's set history and set marks and like what I represent and what I look like. For example, people don't necessarily see that, if ever, that this body, this character in an action movie. Why not? So that's kind of been my thing where I was like, let's do that. Or how about this? You know what I mean? To like break the mold.
Where does that come from? It come from your folks, or
I think yes.
they were like that?
When I grew up, I did not. I wanted to be many different things. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. That's what I mean about the universe taking the wheel. I did not, and I say this because my best friend knew at 4 years old he wanted to be an actor, and he wanted to play Jackie Robinson. I never forget when he told me that, and I was like, "What? At 4?" I liked many things. I still do. And so I think what's nice is it allows me to appreciate this for what it is, but not to hold on super tightly. If I quit or if I, whatever, got blacklisted or whatever, where I had to stop, I would go be a chef. Or I would go be a lawyer. Or I would go be a fashion designer. Like, you know what I mean? But the biggest thing I think that what my parents did instill was whatever you do, fully commit. And do it to the top level. So for me, and in my personality of like quickly like wanting to change the next thing, like I don't have a place.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed to be working, but I love the idea of, oh, I'm in this city and this is my home for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then it's non-committal and then I get to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope to me.
And now you're doing that for other people. I mean, you have your own production company now.
Yeah.
What kind of stories do you want to tell now that you have an opportunity to tell some stories?
So things that are on the deck right now, I have a Black Western, which we had before Harder They Fall. I'm just saying this as an example. We had it before Harder They Fall. We were trying to convince everyone that this history that was unknown or muted is highly important and very interesting. And the industry wasn't biting. Circumstances happen as they go. Boom, Harder They Fall come. Now everybody's like, so that Black Western, huh? To me, I'm like, thank you. Thank you, Harder They Fall. Because now you're going to make it a little bit easier for me. So we have a Black Western. I've literally written a TV show which combines like everything I've always wanted. After having done enough TV, there's now things of like, I want curvy women to be sexualized and not sexualized, but to
be portrayed as a sexual.
Yes, yeah. I'm not just the help, or I'm not just this best friend that literally appeared out of nowhere, has no backstory, no wants or desires,
no
but
depth.
To serve you.
Yeah.
My biggest thing and stuff that I'm really intrigued in is I love period pieces in history. I'm a sucker for that, but also I love telling authentic stories. If you're going to tell a biopic, don't make it be all sweet. Like, I'm more interested, not like scandalous and salacious, but tell the whole story, because all of a person is what's actually the most interesting to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? How the brain works, how people make the choices that they make and when they make them. I just want the truth. Like, tell the truth. And I don't like it to be too preachy. Like, just present it.
Mm-hmm.
These are the facts. This is what it is. Let the audience fill in the blanks. You guys are so smart. Mm-hmm. You're so smart. I think it's death if you just lay everything out. And now, I remember when the pandemic hit, I had met with, I think it was like the president of Warner Brothers or Universal. And he was like, get your rest now. Because now that at that time when the industry was down, the Great Depression never even stopped the industry. The pandemic was the first time where the entertainment industry ceased.
Yeah. Get your rest now because you're about to start working.
Every entertainer. We have
much. I mean, you're working more than anyone I've ever met in my life, I think.
Thank you. Yeah. But we have so much catching up to do. So with that, think about it now. You as viewers are in many ways numbed and also more intelligent as a viewer of television and movies, because in this time you've seen so much, right? So in 10 minutes, I can assume if you're not digging it, next, what's the next thing on the stream? Because there's so much for you to watch, the quality has to be raised.
Let me go back to what you were saying there about audiences and,
Yeah.
and what they might get, and let me close off this way. So let's go back to on the come up.
Mm.
Let's just say the two people are watching this movie in the living room or in the theater or
Yeah,
whatever.
we're gonna be in
Yeah,
theaters. I'm excited.
so let's say they're in the theater.
Yeah.
They watch the movie, they get in the car. What conversations do you hope they're having with one another?
People having conversations about their truth, whatever that means for them. Whether there's a truth about their identity, the truth about their trauma, family trauma, that people who love and care for one another and are invested in one another can have meaningful, true conversations. Whether it's me sharing with you where I'm at in my life right now,
Yeah.
where our friendship is,
Mhm.
our relationship is, uh, to not hold back, and also that it brings up conversations of, well, what is it that you want to do in life? What fulfills you? Are you doing it? No. Well, how do we get there? Do you know what I mean? I think that would be really lovely if that was some of the conversations.
It's amazing to hear your story and just what you've walked into and how you've blown everybody away.
Thank you.
I think we can say you did that here too. I mean, really lovely to talk to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.